Every story begins with an idea, and every idea has to start somewhere. Some people are inspired by art they intake, others by taking something they see in the world and changing it into something new. Sometimes, though, an idea can come to us from within, from our dreams. Writer-director Don Coscarelli, however, didn't so much glean his inspirations from a dream as from a nightmare. In case you've never heard of it, and it is somewhat obscure by popular horror standards, Phantasm is an incredibly surreal, low-budget horror film released in 1979, making this year its 40th anniversary. The idea for the film originated in a nightmare that Coscarelli had when he was just a teenager. To paraphrase his own description, in the dream he was being pursued down a marble corridor by a terrifying chrome sphere bearing a quote-unquote wicked needle. See any resemblance? I thought so. And while I'm positive that, whether documented or not, countless novels, songs, films, whatever, can trace their origins back to someone's dreams, what makes Phantasm unique is how hard it tries to act like the nightmare that it was born from. The entire piece, from opening to ending scene, is stark, surreal, and otherworldly. Even when we're in traditionally familiar places, very little feels familiar. Seemingly simple bits of blocking suddenly come across as faintly dreamlike thanks to the production design, odd choice of angles, and the bizarre soundscape. But that's nothing too uncommon for a horror film to do, but what is how the film is structured and cut together. Take this scene for example. Our teenage lead, Mike, visits an old fortune teller to try to make some sense of the chaos going on in his life. Now normally their discussion would be shown either through a straightforward dialogue scene to keep the rhythm, or a flashback to really inform us of what happened. But here, it's sort of both. The way this interaction plays out feels like something out of a dream. The conversation begins routine enough, but with no warning, we see exactly what's on Mike's mind.
It's Jody again. I found out that he's leaving.
And before that thought can complete itself, we're back in the room. This scene, and others like it, are structured less like pieces of narrative film and more like streams of consciousness, meandering, however, from place to place.
Reg, you take him over to Sally's, the antique store. He'll be safe there, then hustle on back. And Mike, no arguments.
A lot of the threads that hold the film together are thin like this. There's almost always enough to follow from one moment or one scene to the next without leaving a viewer with distracting amounts of questions, but it always feels loose. Again, dreamlike. Think about it. How many times have you had a dream where you know how you got from A to C, but what happened to B? And F? You remember an F in there, so where does that factor in? It's all there, but the associations are narrow, and that goes for the characters as well. Our three main leads, Mike, Jody, and Reggie, all fill out this dreamscape, though it seems the most dreamlike the closer narratively we are to Mike, probably because of his age. All three of them, though, have questions of their own about what's going on, especially about our villain.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
Ah yes, the infamous Tall Man, almost as cult popular as the chrome spheres that he shepherds. At a glance, just like to our characters, he looks almost normal. But then you see his odd proportions, his mannerisms, and the not quite human things he's able to do. And then you start to wonder about him. Even just say that name, Tall Man. It's the kind of descriptor that a child might grant to a frightening thought that passed through their mind. What I think is his most impactful moment in this first film feels perfectly unreal. Everything about this feels eerie. The sleepiness of the slow motion, the cavernous quality to his footfalls, the way that he seems to invade an otherwise commonplace sight. The moment, though, that brings it all together is this zoom and what follows. Never before have I seen that dream feeling you get when you know the monster sees you and you want to run, but your legs just won't go, more perfectly and humbly captured on film. Like many nightmares, the ending of the film leaves you shaken and not entirely satisfied. After Mike, Reg, and Jody escape from the Tall Man's otherworldly Morningside lair, Reg is presumed dead, and Mike and Jody best their enemy with good old-fashioned quick thinking, leaving him trapped down an old mine shaft. However, the very next scene, we're suddenly face to face with Reggie again, and he's telling us, through Mike, that Jody was the one killed, and not by any tall man, but a car wreck. Mike's upset and confused naturally, but deep down he's filled with this incurable, dreadful notion that
I know those rocks aren't gonna hold him. First he took Mom and Dad. Then he took Jody. Now he's after me.
this esoteric, hard to parse, what really happened turn in the penultimate scene leaves Mike feeling the same way that we've all felt, trying to hold on to a dream upon waking. Some moments or feelings shine, stick with us, and for a time we question, did that really happen? But in the end, they fade away. We go about our days, enjoy our lives, and the nightmares slip from our minds, until we're alone again and we drift back off to sleep. We hope a nice dream is there to meet us, but that's the thing about dreams. We don't always know we're dreaming, do we? And sometimes there's that moment when the good dream turns bad, and you hope to God that you wake up.
Boy!